The Tragedy of Cinema podcast is intended as a family-friendly program that by extension strives to be inclusive to all people regardless of their ethnicity, gender, creed, or any other identifying factors in this incredibly diverse world of ours. With that said, some of the films we discuss may contain serious subject matters or have content considered morally objectionable by today's standards. We do not intend to condone or dismiss these aspects of these films, but our primary focus will be on what we believe the film succeeds at, some fun facts, and our personal enjoyment factors of each film. With that said, we hope you enjoy the show.
John Carpenter's The Fog.
This is KB, Antonio Bay. Stevie Wayne here, and let me be the first to wish Antonio Bay a happy birthday. We're 100 years old today, and keep a watch out for that fog bank heading in from the east.
100 years ago, between midnight and 1, something unknown came out of the fog. Now it has returned.
Oh, Jesus.
100 years ago, between midnight and 1, something unnatural came out of the fog. Now it has returned. Years ago, between midnight and 1, something evil came out of the fog. Now it has returned.
Who's there?
The fog.
Antonio Bay has a curse on it. We're all cursed.
Some water got in here, but something awful cold did.
I think I'll go to Vancouver now.
Where's the fog now?
Well, it should be right outside my door now.
Oh, there's something different about this fog. Dan, stay away from the door! Someone listen to me!
Get inside and lock your doors. Close your windows. There's something in the fog. Stay away from the fog. From the creator of Halloween, the ultimate experience in terror and suspense. John Carpenter's The Fog, starring Adrienne Barbeau, Jamie Lee Curtis, John Houseman, Janet Leigh as Kathy Williams, and Hal Holbrook as Father Malone. The fog. What you can't see won't hurt you. It will kill you. Between midnight and 1, it will find you.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Tragedy of Cinema podcast. I'm your host, Jimbo, and today I'm joined by
my lovable co-host and good friend and partner and just all-around good old folk. The good old Kyle from The Fog is here, ready to give you a hug.
Kyle looks a little foggy this morning, if you will. It's kind of early for him.
Yes. 8 a.m. is a midnight hour for a millennial.
Too bad it ain't 8 a.m. It's now 9 a.m. But
it is 9 a.m. Oh, geez.
See how foggy you are.
Yeah.
So this, obviously, if you haven't heard, this is episode 112, where we're going to be talking about the original John Carpenter's The Fog.
The Fog.
Kyle, it's been a while since we've actually recorded. It's probably been a month because there's been some sickness running rampant in me personally and your house. So we decided to do this, and the next movie we do, we're going to do a virtual recording, if you will. So if Kyle sounds like he's in a daze. He probably is, and it's because we're not in the same room. So we just want to give everybody that. If our audio quality is a little off, or Kyle sounds like a robot at times, that's because he lives in the sticks. So just letting everybody.
It is the season for cold and flu season. It is a bad thing. But we wanted to get something recorded, and we have these notes and movies lined up. So I was like, let's get some of this done.
Right.
So hopefully it will sound good.
But Kyle, before we get started, I have a question. I know it's early for you, so here we go. What horror movie got you into watching and or hooked on horror movies?
Horror movies as a genre. That is an excellent question. I'm going to show up because of course, like I had to be a little bit younger, so it's not really like a horror movie in my mind, but maybe like a movie I really enjoyed just kind of younger growing up. Maybe like M. Night Shyamalan's The Signs, or maybe the Jeepers Creepers 2. Like honestly, probably like horror movies that like I remember like or like not even like really horror at that point. They're suspense and like a little bit of vague horror when it's so ridiculous. But like I remember
you're so young you couldn't even say
more appreciation later for more classic horror movies at that point. So it's that's the most innocent answer I can give.
You're so young you couldn't even say Jeepers Creepers 1. You had to go with Jeepers Creepers 2.
I only saw Jeepers Creepers 1 once and I didn't like it.
Jeepers 2. Speaking of that,
Jeepers ridiculous
Creepers Reborn. Jeepers Creepers Reborn is getting ready to come out to theaters. I think it's the 19th, 20th, and 21st of this month. So, awesome. for me, the one that I remember besides the original Universal monster movies, because like the Wolfman and Creature from the Black Lagoon are some of the ones that I remember the most growing up. This movie, The Fog, is probably the one that set my love of horror movies. It's just so well done. And for this movie, less is more, if you will. You don't really see the characters very often. All you see is that fog and the way that they use the lighting and the shadows and just snippets of the pirates, if you will. This is the movie that did it for me. I remember when I was really young, I came around the corner of the couch and this was on TV. And, the scene at the end where they're in the church and they're standing in the middle of the aisles, behind the pews, and that fog's there and the lights. It's just the movie that scared me. So, But before I get into my whole synopsis, Kyle, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Let's go into the movie facts. Okay, we have The Fog, released in 1980, directed by the legendary John Carpenter of like Thing and They Live and They Fame and stuff like that too.
Halloween.
That little movie Halloween. Yeah, I don't know if we've ever heard of that. I just watched the sequel for the first time just last week. Actually, I really enjoyed it.
Two?
Halloween Kills or Halloween? Yeah, Halloween Kills. I watched that for the first time. The extended cut, because I don't think you can even get the theatrical cut on a standard release anymore. But that was okay. John Carpenter had nothing to do with it besides the name. But let's see here. Also, this movie is written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. For the budget, we only have $1.1 million in 1980. So that's an insanely low budget for how much mileage they get out of this film with the fog effects and the costuming, lighting, and everything else too. 1.1 is nothing for a movie. That's this movie could be 10 million, and I would still be very, very impressed with the level of production value they put into that movie. 100, like probably closer to 50 million would have made sense to me before I even started to really overthink about it. But 1.1 million is insanely low. John Carpenter must have called in some favors to get this movie done the way he got it done. Adjusted for inflation, that'd be about 3.7 million today, roughly. And for the box office, it came home with just 21 million, which would be the equivalent of about $67 million today, roughly. So like that's a pretty good budget because they imagine like budget of the film 1.1 million, marketing maybe another 2 million, and the national theater release you probably want to make sure you get at least 9 million back. So probably made a small but profitable movie, which is impressive. Okay, moving on here, we have I don't have the normal span of all the notes I got, but I do have the cast here. We have Andrina of Barbeau playing Stevie Wayne. She was in such movies as Escape from New York and Creepshow. Then we, of course, have the legendary Jamie Lee Curtis, the Scream Queen herself, playing Elizabeth Sully. Of course, known for movies such as The Little Halloween and Trading Places and a bunch of other movies. Then we have Janet Leigh playing Kathy Williams. John Houseman playing Mr. Machin. Tom Atkins playing Ned Castle. James Canning playing Dick Basker. Charlie Cyphers playing Dan O'Brien. Nancy Keys playing Sandy Fidel. And Ty Mitchell playing Andy Wayne. Hal Holbrook playing Father Malone. Hal Holbrook also kind of a bigger actor. He's in the movie Creepshow too, All the President's Men and Lincoln, Into the Wild, stuff like that too. Then we have John F. Goff playing Al Williams. George Flower, also known as Buck, playing Tommy Wallace. Regina Walden playing Mrs. Coverts. Jim Hain playing the Dockmaster. Darrow Eggis playing Mel. John Vick playing Sheriff David Sims. And Jim Jacobus playing the Mayor. That's the cast for The Fog in 1980. So Jimbo, that's actually all I got for that one. Of course, also aspect ratio of 16.9 and color movie, 1980s, all that good stuff. But overall, that's all I had for my personal notes here.
So Kyle, when he doesn't come here, he doesn't have quite the extensive notes research that he has when he gets here that I already have printed off for him.
Yeah, because we go through it together and highlight it up. I do some work.
Hey, you print those off before I get there.
Try you do the movie.
So Kyle, for somebody that doesn't know what the premise of this movie is, give us a quick synopsis of this movie.
That's I don't want to say the town, but basically a docking and shipping town is being besieged by a supernatural fog, and Jamie Lee Curtis's character and a bunch of other characters are trying to investigate what's going on and also discover what kind of curse has befallen this small town. And through the work of a priest and a radio operator and a bunch of other people, they managed to kind of overcome this supernatural threat. And you kind of follow that journey of these basically almost kind of evil pirates like people invading a town with hooks and knocking on doors and stuff like that too. That's the most synopsis of it. I guess I can probably give. Maybe I can get like a more official synopsis of The Fog if I just go to the link real quick and look at it just to give a better kind of like, oh yeah, this movie.
Well, some people may not realize it has been over a month since we've recorded, but that's probably when Kyle last watched this movie. So
yeah. Oh wait, let me read the official like quick little storyline synopsis. Just give it more of a more gradual kind of like, oh okay. Against the backdrop of a spine-chilling stories of drowned mariners and a 100-year-old shipwreck lying in the bottom of the sea, the peaceful coastal town of Antonio Bay, California, is making preparations to celebrate its centennial. However, a strange supernatural occurrence has blemished the festivities against fog starts to shroud the seaside town, leading to unaccountable disappearances. A century ago, a crime was committed by the time elders. Now, the restless dead have returned for revenge. Is there something evil lurking in The Fog?
Dun, dun, dun. So there you have it. So we'll go ahead and jump into some of the notes I have. So Kyle, the band mentioned on the radio near the movie's beginning is the Coupe de Villes, which features none other than director John Carpenter.
Oh,
they actually play a song over the closing credits of another movie, which was also directed by John Carpenter, known as Big Trouble in Little China.
China.
We're going to have to do that one too. That's a good movie.
Wait,
do what?
Did we already do that? We already did that. Wow, we already did that.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
Kyle, we did not.
It's
on the list. It's on the list, but we haven't done it because Jen Thompson wanted to come back on and do it with us.
That's right. That's right. It's in the backlog of movies that we watched several times but never recorded. Yeah. Right. We should do it today, Jimbo. We've never done it. That's great. We've never done prep work for that.
I was like, I don't even have notes for it, so I don't know where you got that information from. So
I watched it like 3 times on the podcast, and we never did.
The character played by John Carpenter, Bennett, because Carpenter is actually, at the beginning of the movie, he's Father Malone's assistant at the very beginning of the movie, but he's never credited for it in the credits. Is named after, so Bennett is named after Carpenter's friend Bennett Trammer. They went to USC, which is the University of Southern California, together. And then Carpenter used the character name Ben Tramer in Halloween also as a potential love interest for Laurie Strode. The name of the coroner, played by Darwin Jostin, Dr. Phibes, is a reference to Dr. Anton Phibes, the character played by legendary actor Vincent Price in the horror movie The Abdominal Dr. Phibes and the sequel Dr. Phibes Rise Again.
Classic horror movie. Yeah.
Yep. John Carpenter stated two inspirations for this film, both of which are related to Great Britain. The first was the British film The Crawling Eye, which dealt with monsters hiding in the clouds. Kyle, have you ever watched The Crawling Eye?
Crawling Eye. I have never heard of
Crawling.
Oh, Crawling Eye. Crawling as like a spider crawls.
Yes.
I have never heard of The Crawling Eye, but I gotta say the idea of monsters hiding in the clouds reminds me of a lot of a current movie just came out with Nope, Jordan Peele's movie, Monsters Hiding in the Clouds. That's a really cool.
I might have to check that one out. That sounds pretty interesting. So, he also stated that he and his co-writer producer Deborah Hill was also inspired by a trip to legendary Stonehenge, the ancient monument in southwest England, which was covered in fog during their visit. So I bet that was pretty interesting. The lead ghost, if you will, I use that term loosely, Blake, was played by makeup specialist Rob Botton. When Botton asked for the job, John Carpenter asked him to stand up. Botton then expected Carpenter to say, and get out. But when Carpenter saw that Botton was a very large man at 6'5", which was needed for the character like Blake, he was hired right then and there.
I think like 1980 horror movies are like a great time for really tall actors. Like you're like, man, you're like 6'8", 6'9". Yeah, man, you put on this Halloween mask and you're gonna kill people. It's gonna be great. You got easy money coming in. You just stand there and look imposing, and they're like, yes, finally a job for me.
And walk slowly.
yeah, walk slowly, stand around all day, and it's like, man, how much am I getting paid for this? A lot. Like, yes, I found my purpose.
Even though they are billed as some of the main actresses, Adrienne Barbeau and Jamie Lee Curtis do not appear in any of the scenes together in this movie.
Oh wow! Well, in fact, I wouldn't think of it, but now you mentioned like, oh yeah, they never did show.
Yeah. The movie's opening prologue was a quote from the final two lines of the great legendary author Edgar Allan Poe's poem, "A Dream Within a Dream." It states, "Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream."
A dream within a dream. Inception, if you will. Leonardo DiCaprio is an Edgar Allan Poe novel.
Yep. So the role of Father Malone was originally offered to none other than Sir Christopher Lee, who believed that the character to be the father of the community. However, Lee proved unavailable, and Hal Holbrook was eventually cast.
I feel like if Sir Christopher Lee, like if he got the role, then the movie would immediately have gotten the $10 million.
Right.
I would imagine they needed for the budget. Because you go out and be like, I got Christopher Lee for this. Like, okay, I'm going to make big money now.
Kurt Russell was offered a role in the movie, but I couldn't find which one of the characters he'd play. I'm assuming it would have probably been the truck driver.
Yeah, that's what I imagine too.
I can see him doing that. While driving to the lighthouse, Stevie flips around the radio dial and a broadcast confirming a search for the ship, the Seagrass, is heard. The voice mentions a sweep south of Whately Point and Arkham Reef. Both Arkham Reef and surname Whately are references to writer H.P. Lovecraft, as he uses both repeatedly in his stories. Carpenter is a huge fan of Lovecraft.
Yes. I'm pretty sure we've gone through those several things in previous Carpenter movies. And Lovecraft's, of course, influence on supernatural horror or like even cosmic horror is cannot be understated. Really, that's a very large shadow over the entire genre that he almost fathered in his own way. So I can definitely see making those references and being pretty cool. And also, it's also always nice to bring up Arkham. Everyone thinks of Batman, but it's like no, it's a Lovecraft thing, guys.
As Stevie calls out the progress of the fog through town over the radio, she mentions Russellville Road and Small House Road. These are two prominent streets in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where John Carpenter spent time growing up.
that coastal town in Kentucky.
At the beginning, the guy sitting there on the beach where he's given the thing, telling the story about the ghost ship that crashed, or the ship that crashed, and all that. He says it's supposed to take 5 minutes from 11:55 to midnight when he's talking, but in fact, it's only 2 minutes and 25 seconds from the moment that he mentions it's 11:55 to the moment that the bell rings in the background, signaling it's midnight. So, little jump in the gun there.
Yeah, a little jump in the gun. Still works.
All right, so this next fact that I found. So when Father Malone first gets the journal, are you okay? You're not wigging out over there. Okay.
I saw myself on the monitor and I got excited like a child. It's great.
So when Father Malone first discovers that journal, he glances at the title page, then he flips to an open page text that is partially blocked. And it's only seen for a split second. But yes, there are some people that have paused it, and we have what that says. Are you ready?
The analysis.
There is some explicit here, so I'm going to have to blankety blank some of this stuff. So
you blank it that way.
So the visible portion reads with spelling errors, obviously, is something my college education to work writing dumb blank in this blanking movies, props being one. It's time to bring in the words guide or the big tits, tattoos, and shaved beavers. I know horny blocks would go blocks some of that. So I don't know if it was just a writer that was just having fun. Maybe they thought, oh, nobody will ever see this. Maybe it's Carpenter trying to put something funny on there. I don't know, but I just thought that was kind of crazy.
I love that kind of like, or like, you know, not thinking ahead or just not caring kind of mentality sometimes. Like, no one's going to see this for more than a second anyway, so just write whatever. And so they just write every terrible thing they could possibly think of immediately. Right. And I appreciate that mindset. I wish we got more of it sometimes, but I know why. Because like now we do know, like, yeah, someone's eventually going to stop at that, stare at that, then put it on the internet later, and then everyone's going to mock you. It's like, cancel culture so bad now.
Right.
All that funny stuff.
Adrienne Barbeau patterned her voice after Alison Steele, who was a female disc jockey from the 1960s, who was known as the Nightbird.
The Nightbird. Coming at you live, folks. We're down.
I am the terror. I am the terror that flaps in the night.
Exactly. You're flapping your butt. Like, what? I have no idea. Yeah. Nightbird flaps the butt.
Jazz music was used for Stevie Wayne's radio station because this was more affordable than rock music. So they probably didn't want to pay all that as royalties. So
yeah. I wonder how they got like royalty-free music back in the day now. Because now you can just go on a website and get royalty-free music all you want. Like, here's a catalog of 1,000 songs you can use for anything, no matter what. Just bring your credits in.
Right. Yeah. Although she was known for her television roles, this was the debut cinematic movie of actress Adrienne Barbeau. The movie was shot in just 30 days in the anamorphic 235.1 format. So it only shot 30 days. Well done.
In 30 nights. Good.
The scene on the dock at Bodega Bay was filmed in a single day. Actress Janet Leigh, and Jamie Lee Curtis are real life mother and daughter, and I thought it was awesome to see them in this movie together. Because awesome. John Carpenter is a big Janet Leigh fan, and we've talked about how that's basically how Jamie Lee Curtis got her role when he realized that, hey, this is her daughter. Right. So the name of the old clipper ship was the Elizabeth Dane, whilst the names of other boats seen in the picture were the Hyperio, the Lady Laura, and yes, the partially obscured but most telling one, Halloween.
That's good. That's good. Why not?
Yeah.
When you have the opportunity, you got to do it.
Portraying Sandy Fatal was actress Nancy Kyes, who was known at the time of building the movie as Nancy Loomis, having the same last name as the psychiatrist Dr. Sam Loomis, who was
also from Halloween. Of course.
Was a regular character in the Halloween movies, of which Carpenter directed the first movie in 1978. Including this movie, Nancy Loomis had appeared in 5 movies either directed or produced by John Carpenter. The other movies were Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, Halloween 2, and Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
It's the season of the witch.
Oh, stop.
Yeah.
Actress Adrienne Barbeau and director John Carpenter were married at the time this movie was made and released. He wrote the role of Stevie Wayne for her specifically. So I guess it's if you're married to her, it's kind of like Rob Zombie, casting Sherry Moon
in the new Monsters movie, or Milo Jovovich and what's his name? The guy who did the Resident Evil movies.
Right.
Yeah.
A remake of this movie was released in 2005, which I have not watched, but I'm very interested to see the difference or how it is. It was also produced by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, makers of the original one. So, and I do believe it's starring Tom Welling. You know, I think that was Superman and
Supernatural, not Supernatural. Superman and the what was the name of the show? Was it Smallville? Thank you.
There's a couple other famous actors and actresses in that, I do believe, but I would like to see what they changed, if they changed anything. I'm
maybe
sure
like a smaller part 2 podcast where we can compare and contrast.
Maybe we'll do a real talk on that, because we also want to do what was the other one I said? Oh, Superman 2 and Superman 2, the Donner cut. I think that
doing those comparisons would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
So, although this movie cost just over $1 million to make, Avco Embassy spent 3 times that amount on advertising and promotion. This included TV ads, radio ads, print ads, and the studio even installed fog machines at a cost of $350 each in the lobbies of selected cinemas while the movie was showing. Can you imagine? What was that movie? Was that Matinee with John Goodman where he did he would shock the chairs and all that when people were watching it and something came on?
Yeah, that's the whole thing where they tried to put the theaters into the theater themselves, shock the chairs, rumble the theater, all that crazy stuff.
It'd be cool if you were watching fog started coming to the movie theater, you know what I mean? That would have been really cool.
Yeah. It's always so ridiculous, kind of like the marketing schemes they have back then. Now, you don't get any of those ridiculous things now. It's just a new kind of internet campaign for marketing that could be weird sometimes, or viral marketing to some degree. But you never see would you put a fog machine in a theater? Sell theater tickets.
And Alfred Hitchcock did a lot of that stuff too, to promote his movies. So, John Carpenter originally intended to secure this movie with a PG rating, but ended up with an R rating instead because the studio wanted more scares and violence. Because if you notice, there's a lack of blood in this movie. Yeah, there's hardly any blood.
Yeah. But it's still it's a horror movie first and foremost. But it's that's kind of one of those things where the rating system is inadequate, because I feel like a lot of PG you can make really effective PG or PG-13 horror movies, but because they always want to push for an R-rated to say it's actually scary because it is R-rated, they kind of limit what we can actually make. It's one of those just small things. It's okay, the PG cut probably is the definitive cut, but we get this R-rated version because we have to push for an R-rated and we get people to take it seriously, and that's just annoying.
In the 1990s, John Carpenter mentioned during an interview with Fangoria magazine that he was interested in producing an anthology series based on The Fog from 1980. However, the proposed series would at first not have featured any of the characters from Antonio Bay. Instead, The Fog itself would have served as a catalyst for other supernatural stories elsewhere. He also implied that as the series progressed, connective ties to his 1980 film would become more apparent. However, the series never materialized, and in 2005, a remake was produced instead.
I could definitely see that working. Even now, the idea of just a fog rolling in, lends itself so well to episodic content that I could definitely see a Netflix, an Amazon, even a Hulu picking up that idea and running with it and possibly making something very good or very, very bad, which is more likely. But I would be interested to see that for sure. Even today, I think there's a good case for making a cool show like that.
Right. Yeah. In the Blu-ray audio commentary for the movie, John Carpenter noted that the deliberate wrecking of the Clipper ship and its subsequent plundering was based on an actual event, the wrecking of the Frolic, that took place in the 19th century near Goleta, California. So basically, I was reading up on that a little bit, and there was actually a plot to set a fire on the beach, and they thought it was the lighthouse, but by the time it got too close, it hit rocks, and they went and stole a bunch of stuff from the ship that it was the treasures it was carrying. So very interesting. When Janet Leigh is standing just outside the church door, there's an arc of fog at the top of the image. This was not intentional, but was actually fog on the lens of the camera.
It's fantastic.
Tom Atkins' character named is Nick Castle, which of course is the name of the original actor who played Michael Myers or the Shape in John Carpenter's classic film Halloween. Carpenter likes to reuse names a lot, so or pay homage to a lot of stuff.
I wonder if it's like it helps in like the script writing process, and we're all just keep using the same names over and over again. Like it's not even necessarily a Halloween thing. That's just a Carpenter thing that he keeps reusing the same names over and over again.
The lighthouse used in the movie is the Point Reyes Lighthouse in Marin County, California. There are over 300 steps leading down to the lighthouse. Kyle'd be okay going down, but trying to get back up, it's gonna be a problem.
I've actually been in a lighthouse in Cozumel, Mexico once. I remember like thinking the same thing. Like these stairs are ridiculous.
Where's the elevator?
And I was on a tour guide, and one of the guys, like one of the other guests, actually fell down the stairs. It was not a fun day.
This movie contains three of the most prominent scream queens of cinema: Adrienne Barbeau, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Janet Leigh. I mean, they've been in a lot of famous movies.
A holy trinity of scream queens. Yeah.
When gasoline is flowing from the gas pump, the sell is for $4.34 for 8.3 gallons. This makes gas about 52.3 cents per gallon.
Man.
To today. Yeah.
Seeing you in person now wouldn't be a big deal.
2 years later, Hal Holbrook and Adrienne Barbeau would again be cast together in Romero's Creep Show. They played husband and wife. That's a great movie too, anthology of movies.
Yeah.
Stevie can be seen climbing down the exactly 13 steps to the lighthouse. The stairs go down 900 feet, which is equivalent of 25 stories. The stairs sometimes close as the winds can reach 40 miles per hour.
Wow, that is scary.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you would think there would be like a rope you're tying around your waist or something to pull yourself down or up.
Yeah,
just in case the wind.
I'm going to die this time. Definitely, I'm going to die this time.
Right. When Andy sees the wood at the beach, the audience can see Goat Rock Beach in the background. This formation, part of Sonoma Coast State Beach, were prominently seen in the background of the final scene of none other than the great 80s movie The Goonies. So shot from the other direction. So they were actually on the other side shooting this way. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It's a small world after all.
Here in my notes I have right here that the absence of blood was a failed attempt by Carpenter to get a PG rating. Despite that, it still received an R rating.
Mm-hmm.
Extensive reshoots were done after the first screening when director and studio executives decided that the movie wasn't scary enough. Additional scenes shot included close-ups of the death scenes, specifically the stab wounds, the scene with Jamie Lee Curtis and the walking corpse in the morgue, which was a great scene, and the finale with Adrienne Barbeau on top of the lighthouse. So, Adrienne Barbeau has only one scene with her son and a climatic showdown with two of the ghosts. Other than that, all of her scenes were by herself, with no direct on-screen interaction with any other characters.
Those movies are like the lower budget makes more sense to me because it's like, oh, we only had like one actor on for this day doing this kind of work. That's where you can kind of stitch things together a little bit more in a cohesive story for a very cheap budget, in my mind. But still, and I think about getting like trying to get that R rating and like trying to go for a PG movie. I think Carpenter is really excellent at sometimes doing a less is more approach to filmmaking and like leaving how the implied disappearance like immediately causes your imagination to go wild and like think of like all the terrible things that happened. But instead of filming these R-rated scenes where you have these close-ups of them getting stabbed with hooks, just doesn't have the same kind of horror kick to it. It does as they're just gone. That kind of like horror and stuff that goes in there because your mind immediately goes to like the worst case scenario, which is always going to be more than what they can show you on screen in many cases. Right. So yeah.
And which is also very telling too, because she is at a lighthouse for one, but not only the lighthouse, but she's also the radio host that's on at night in the small town. So she thinks it's her job to stay there to keep the people informed too over the airwaves, which is very interesting too. You know what I mean? I thought that. So basically, and I've heard that if you're a lighthouse keeper, you have one job, and that is to stay in the lighthouse to protect any of the ships that are coming in so they don't crash.
Yeah.
So she took her job very seriously, even at the expense of her son, or the safety of her son, which is very interesting. So,
yeah, I think it's a cool, like an unusual kind of moral imperative. Like you don't think of those being the jobs where like a disaster's coming in. These are people that have to be on the front lines of this to like keep people safe. So like, yeah, being a lighthouse person, like, oh, we have a horror thing that happened at a lighthouse. Now you have to be the leader in that case of protecting your town. It'd be like a new rat plague going on, and the local exterminators like, I got to be a hero now. And that kind of moment is kind of because you just usually associate like it's going to be a police or a fireman, protecting a neighborhood from a fire or like from a crime, something like that.
Right.
But instead, we have like these kind of a more a less dramatic kind of job being placed in this moral imperative where they have to protect the town as their job, and that's a cool little twist on things. I think more movies could do.
Right. In the last scene where Stevie is on top of the lighthouse and the fog slowly disappears, the crew realized they would not be able to get the fog to roll out, so they had Adrienne Barbeau perform the scene in such a way that the film could be played in reverse.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like.
I want to go back and look at that scene again just to see how like stilted that kind of walking is, or how natural he made it look.
Right.
That's really cool.
In the final scene at the church, a wall behind Andy is brick inscribed H. Hawks. This is a reference to John Carpenter's favorite director, Howard Hawks.
Hawks.
So, Kyle, before we go into the thing, here's a question I have for you. We know that some people in the past, like 100 years ago, have stolen the treasure of Blake and his pirates. When they come, they say, you see the wood that her son finds that's got the name of the ship or whatever, and it burns and it says 6 must die or whatever.
Yes.
My question to you is, do you think that the 6 that needed to be killed had to be directly tied or descendants of the people that did them harm? Or was it just the first 6 they came across they were going to kill? And if the 6 that they killed and they didn't find their treasure, would they have came back in another 100 years to try to find their treasure again?
Oh,
because the only reason I say that is because, they kill the 3 on the ship, the 3 sailors on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Then they kill the guy that was always calling in. Wasn't he like the weatherman, always calling into the thing, which was a cool death scene. So there's 4. Then you had who was it? There was somebody else that died, but I think this has one of the best endings of a horror movie that I've ever seen, because Blake comes and the father, Malone or whatever, gives them the cross that they had melted their gold down and made this gigantic gold cross. And he's like frying, and the guy pulls him off that or whatever, and at the very last thing you see, he's standing in the church and he's like, I don't understand, why didn't they kill me? They should have killed me. Well, I guess I survived. And you slowly see that fog start coming in, and behind him you see Blake, dude, and he has that sword and it just goes to cut his head off. I thought it was really well done. But the question I pose to you is, would it have to? Why? I guess why did it have to be Blake, or not Blake? Why did it have to be the father Malone? I know it was in his family because he found the journal of whatever. You know what I mean? So, Kyle, my question to you was, sorry, we got a little disconnected there because we had a power outage. So, did the 6 people that died, did they have to be a direct descendant of the people that stole from the original Blake and his pirates, or could it have just been 6 random people? The curse would have been done. Blake would have got his gold right then and there and left. Or if he would have just killed 6 people and left and came back in another 100 years, what's your thoughts? I don't remember seeing anything in the movie about that. I could be wrong. It could have said something at the beginning, but when he's telling the story on the shore to the kids, but it's been a month since I've watched it, but I was just what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I think this film does imply that Blake and his pirate crew in the fog have some, sentience or knowledge of what they're doing and why they're doing it. And that this is kind of a more of a greed first and a revenge second kind of scenario, where like as soon as Father Malone gives them the gold cross, they leave because they think that's all they want. And then as it kind of lingers in their mind and mind of Father Malone, they both think like, no, we got to finish this up and actually get the revenge we've sought after all this time. That's why he comes back and murders Father Malone and cuts off his head with the outfit, because his revenge is, after being fulfilled with greed, it's still not enough. Now they want the full revenge. and they continue the murder of Father Malone. And presumably, if John Carpenter had his way, they would continue murdering kind of forever, to some degree, because that's all they have anymore. So I think that's the kind of idea where like murdering 6 random people wouldn't have been enough. Also, like they wanted to get the gold first and foremost in their minds, but even if they got the gold, they still want to kill and get revenge and continue to go forth and be monsters, for this new kind of series, basically like that. I think that was the idea Carpenter had going into it.
No, my mind's kind of a little foggy, but let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 6 people they had to kill because that's how many pirates there were?
I thought it had to do with like who robbed them specifically.
The 6 people that robbed them? But
yeah,
what I'm saying is, or was it just those, or was there 6 of the pirates that they killed to do it, to rob?
Oh, so kind of the idea of like an equal kind of like transaction,
Right.
like avenging
My
one
soul for
one.
your soul, or whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, I think also like if there was descendants, there'd be like more than 6 after 100 years. They'd be like, oh, you got to kill 100 people now because like, you know, like Jim's second cousin definitely had like 3 kids, and now they had a whole ancestry thing getting their revenge done. You got to wipe out basically the whole town at that point.
I really should have The problem with this movie is it's not readily available on any streaming service unless you rent it. So I know there's a Blu-ray 4K coming out, I think in October, right, Kyle?
Yep,
Is that what we saw? Or November? One of the two.
It's right around the corner. But
Right.
yeah, and like if I was going to buy the Blu-ray, I would have bought the new 4K Blu-ray that's getting remastered right now, or I would have bought, you know, I would have tried to buy it digitally, but you can't buy it digitally anywhere. You can only rent it. So I rented it a month ago and watched it, and so now it's like I have to piece together the thoughts of like, oh yeah, what was this movie again?
Yeah, and I might be mistaken, but I think at the beginning when the guy at the beginning is telling the ghost story to the kids around the campfire, he might say why or what, you know what I mean? But up to this point, I think it was just a legend. You know, I mean, this is what happened, and you never know when they're coming back or whatever. So, Kyle, what's your thoughts on the original John Carpenter's The Fog? And is this your first time viewing it?
Yes, this is my first time viewing it. First time I've ever even really heard of it when I watched it initially, because you brought it up to me like, let's watch The Fog in 1980. Like, oh, okay, I've never heard of this movie. And it's a really clever ideas going into it and stuff I really appreciate. This is right up my alley for almost the kind of supernatural ghostly horror that has no clear explanation in my mind. Like, it is supernatural in a way that I appreciate, where there's a lot of mystery in like how they work and how things, what their limitations are. They could do anything or possibly nothing, and I really appreciate that in the good horror movies, and John Carpenter just nailed it here. So this is, I think, one of the other movies where like I can hold up Carpenter and say like, oh wow, what a cool director he is, and how he does things that very few directors could really match in many respects. So overall, I really appreciate this film. I wish it was available more readily on digital services and as Blu-rays go. Unfortunately, it's not. Hopefully, I'll change in the future for this film and many others, because there's a ton of films I wish were original digitally that just aren't now. So yeah, overall, I really appreciate this film, and I enjoy it. I think if you're a Carpenter fan, this is well worth watching. In the just matter of like how you can get it available as well, you know. So yeah, I really appreciate this film. Jimbo, how do you feel about this film overall?
Well, I know you've people probably connected the dots since the very beginning of this episode when I told my story of this is probably the movie that scared me the most as a kid. Because coming around, I probably wasn't even 3 or 4 that I remember. And just seeing, the pirates there in the church, man, it was really well done. And the eyes on them kind of glowed, and it was just creepy. I love this movie. It's the one that got me into the genre of horror, if you will, the newer horror. This is
horror. Like foundational horror for you, in many respects.
Besides the Universal monster movies that I remember watching, especially The Wolfman and the Creature from the Black Lagoon, those two specifically, because it kind of remind me, The Wolfman has the fog in the forest too, so it's kind of the same thing to me.
Similar idea, yeah. But what lies beneath the darkness, those kind of things.
Yeah, this is this is probably my favorite horror movie of all time, and it's weird to say that. I'm not talking about Universal monsters, because obviously, Creature from the Black Lagoon and Wolfman are my 2 favorite, and I like all the Universal monsters, but to me, this movie is different because there's no blood. And like I said, it's more of what you don't see That's the scary part. I mean, who knew that just a little fog rolling through a camera shot, could be so intense and so scary that you didn't know what was in the fog. I mean, you would see like on the ship, you would just see like shadows walking by the door or the window, or when the weatherman's in his office, you see the fog start coming in under the door, and you just see the red light or yellow light, in the background, and they start rattling the door. And then you have when they come to the kid's house when he's with the grandma, nanny, whatever you want to call her, and they got the hook and they're trying to get in, I mean, it just
yeah. Oh yeah. It's such a great lesson of like what you don't know is what scares you most in this film, and that's so brilliant.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's our retake or take of the original Fog. Next week, which we're probably getting ready to record here in a second anyway, but next week we will be releasing it's one of the funniest movies I've seen. Them two together are just funny. We will be doing Stir Crazy, which is starring Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. Them two together, man, was just comedic gold. It takes a lot these days to get me to laugh out loud. I watched that movie and I just cracked up. And then I enjoyed it so much, I went ahead and went straight into See No Evil, Hear No Evil, because it's just funny. Them two together, there's just something about their comedic timing. They basically broke the racial barrier because they were so funny together that nobody really paid attention to that. You know what I mean? And hilarious. And the situations they get into, but we'll talk about that next week. So if you like what you heard, please subscribe, leave us a review. We will read it on the air. You can reach us via email at thetragedyofcinema@gmail.com. We are on Facebook at the Tragedy of Cinema Facebook group. If you'd like to be a guest on the episode, send me a message on Facebook or email me. We'd love to have you on. We can set up a Zoom meeting.
It would be a joy.
Yeah, we got some other things coming down the pipeline, some things I'm working on that will be very interesting because it's something we've never done before. So Kyle doesn't even know about this yet. So I'm trying to get in contact with the right person, and then I will release that information when I can. So with that being said, Kyle, I think this episode's coming to a close.
Oh, you got the clapper now. I don't.
Yeah, because you can't. You're not here.
Oh man.
And that's a wrap, Kyle.
And cut. In perfect sync, always.